Chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benny. Sells.
Hello and welcome to this week's Goals Eye View. I'm joined by Dom, Clive and Rachel, and we're here to discuss the Goals exit from the FA Cup at the hands of AFC Totton as the Goals crashed out for the second consecutive year at the second qualifying round. Clive, you were there, you were on radio duties, fantastic work as ever. Do you want to take us into Totton away?
I'd have to challenge you first up straight away on that. Anybody who's capable of misidentifying James Hammond for the opposition goalkeeper cannot be a very good football commentator. However, if we move past that, it was a really disappointing afternoon, wasn't it? I don't think that it was unexpected, which in some ways dulls the pain a bit, but in other ways makes it a bit worse because, you know, we shouldn't be getting used to that sort of result, really. I think under the circumstances, it wasn't a huge shock because we've struggled away from home so far this season. And I mean, we were down to the bare bones last week, and we were down to the bare bones minus Louis Dennis on Saturday. So I personally, I think we're going to hear later. I think criticisms of team selection might be a bit wide of the mark because, you know, you're in a sort of deck chairs on the Titanic scenario at the minute if you're picking that team because you just haven't got anybody or nobody that you wanted, nobody that you signed in the summer. In terms of the game, blissfully, the club hasn't put out any extensive highlights yet. They were dependent on Tottenham for that. I don't think there was any real media presence from the club up there on Saturday. First goal, always important, absolutely critical, I thought, on Saturday. Scott Rendell, good bit of movement. Lost his man at the near post. Cross was on the money. That's 1-0. We're chasing the game. Our pursuit was fairly unsuccessful, wasn't it? Jordan Young had missed a good chance just before that goal early on, but we didn't create vast amounts, really. It was a struggle. Second half, we came out. We were better after half time for 15 minutes. Few corners, but Youngie couldn't work his magic. And then the sort of goal, I think I said it in my match report, it must just give managers a migraine, you know. It's just a decent corner. Somebody loses his man. I don't know who it was because, you know, one of our defenders lost his man. It's verging on unforgivable, really. Free header from point blank range, and it's game over. We never look like getting back into it. I think that we need to sort of be realistic about Saturday. It's gutting. I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's not entirely unexpected. They were 6 players down. I think the last thing that Watton said when Paul Mulhern interviewed him was, "We can't carry it," and I think that's a very fair comment. I don't think it's reasonable to judge this season until we've got a lot closer to a full complement, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got Watton's comments up in front of me here. He said in his post-match review, we were a little bit toothless, but still with the chances that we had, we've got to score. When you're on top and you concede, it's a kick in the teeth, and we're bitterly disappointed. The 6 players who are out injured are 6 of our better players. We can't carry it. We need to get some players back big time. And that sums it up, really, I suppose. Again, we said last week, a difficult tie in retrospect. Tottenham, a very well organised, well run football club. And as disappointing as it is to exit the FA Cup, I mean, from my perspective, I think it is a bit embarrassing that we've fallen at the stage 2 years in a row. The injuries, yes, I can accept to a degree, but I still think the team out there should be capable of getting at least a draw there. You know, with a replay personally. And I'm just gutted more, a bit like last year. I was gutted more the fact that it's another revenue stream that we've not tapped into, the FA Cup. You look at the draw, would have been a home tie against Shaftesbury or Frome FC at home. So a favourable tie for Tottenham in the next round, a winnable tie, and that's luck of the draw, I guess, in that respect. But we had a great chance. Did Jordan Young had a great chance at 0-0 in the first half, Clive, didn't he?
Yeah, he was through one-on-one on the keeper, and he had to try and slightly lift it over him, which he did, but he put it wide. Yeah, it was very unfortunate, really.
Dom, anything to say? Your thoughts?
Well, I predicted a loss, didn't I? It was a bit predictable, wasn't it? Because Tottenham played well when they came to play more. It wasn't a 3-1 game then. They were a tough team. You know, they got Rendell and Lee up front. They can score goals. You knew away from home they'd physically, put us under the cosh a little bit. And we just there's two elements away from home at the moment. We can't keep clean sheets and we keep conceding goals, and we can't score goals either. And if you can't do either of those, you're not going to come back with any results, are you? And I think good teams just find a way to muddle through the half time, keep it 0-0, and just try and nick that sort of game 1-0 at the moment. But we're just not. I don't know what the problem is with defensively. We don't seem to be focused enough. We're not concentrating. Is there some complacency in defence? They're just not. They just don't seem to be working as hard defensively as we did last season. I don't know what's going wrong there, because we didn't take chances and stuff like that. But last season we had that real sort of stubbornness in defence, didn't we? It really felt like every game you had to work hard to score goals against us. Yeah, set pieces especially. I mean, I've seen it since the Enfield game, first day of the season. I had two or three headers from a corner, and they didn't score. Them. It's not been sorted out since, and that surprises me. We had Paul Watton down as a defensive coach, get them organised, but he just doesn't seem to be able to do that this season. It's 2 goals a game for last, 6 games? Yeah, it needs sorting out. So troubles at both ends really, and obviously the midfield's missing key players especially, and we need Jordan Young to pull something out of the hat attacking wise at the moment. If he doesn't do it, who's going to create if Dennis isn't around? So it was too predictable on the day, wasn't it? After the first goal went in, so here we go, and it's just, it's disappointing, because we have a good home win. We're sort of riding that kind of like deja vu at the moment. Home win followed by away disappointment, and it's frustrating. And there is injuries, but I just want to see some of that stubbornness from last season. I want to see us working a bit harder and, put a bit of grit in, and just working harder defensively and as a team. I think all round the park we can do better. Yeah.
Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, Dom touching upon the point there that if Jordan Young's not firing, we're not firing, are we? There's this heavy reliance on him, which, and again, I mean, he had a great chance, didn't he? I've seen the highlights, and, on speaking to a few people that did go to Tottenham, great chance to put us ahead. He apparently had a lovely curling shot, maybe about 20 minutes or so later, that again was just wide. It's the minutiae, isn't it? It's these little moments, and we see Jordan Young, score those sort of goals, don't we? I mean, the sort of, at Playmore. So this heavy reliance in the absence of Louis Dennis on Jordan Young, because with every respect to Matt J, come on, lad, we see the effort of we see him running around and sort of darting about and stuff, but the end product and the contribution, it's pretty zilch, isn't it? There's not a great deal of an all-round game going on there. So, and again, we talk about the team as a collaborative, as a collective. There's the back four is effectively the same back four as last season. The ever reliable, with Dreyer, Dyer, the rotation of Denzel and Thomas aside, and we've got Jay Folston as left back, but that needs something's not right there, is it? We're not quite, that reliable force that we had at the back. We don't really seem to be relying on or have at the moment. We've touched, we've mentioned about the midfield and the players that Watton has brought in to sturdy and bolster, Sundier, Dolan, Low Everton, that's such bad luck, isn't it, that he's not got these players at his disposal. But you look at that attacking front line of Jay, Young, and Cody Cook, and I'm sure you talk about there's a lot of quality in this National League South, and there's a lot of teams that we shouldn't underestimate, and it's not an easy ride, and we shouldn't be sort of arrogant and what have you. But on paper that's a really good front line of attacking setup, isn't it? It's attacking unit. So, I again watching the highlights, picking up on what people have told me who were at the game. And for I know a couple of lads that do not miss away games, and I saw that they actually commented, and the word was unacceptable. The Tottenham result, or the Tottenham performance. Let's say more performance as opposed to result, because you are sounding a little bit conceited, aren't you? Expecting to pick up results, but you want performances, don't you? You want to see your team put in a performance. You want the formations. You want to see the not necessarily be entertained, but you want to come away from these games thinking, we were hard done by there. There was a little bit of a hard luck story. But unfortunately, what I'm getting from these away games is we're just not putting performances in. And it is disappointing, Tom. I've got that romantic viewpoint of the FA Cup, and it would have been lovely, to last season, this season, but could have been, should have been. We're not in it anymore, so that's that. Just on a side point, I see it's the Champions League tonight, isn't it? And Villa aren't in that either, so that's a double grump. But there we go.
The normal order of things has been restored.
Best we don't talk about Villa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Matt Jay's is an issue at the moment. I don't like to pick up individual players, but at home I think he can get forward, he can move around and get away with it a bit more. Away from home, he needs to come back, defend. Physically, he's quite, he's a little chap, isn't he? He's not the sort who's going to win many second balls and headers or anything like that. So away from home, you're carrying a little bit of a passenger there, aren't you, if he doesn't get involved? And it just means other people have to win more stuff. And I think that's one of the issues at the moment. I don't know if Paul knows where to play him particularly, but he's having to play him at the moment because we haven't got the numbers to back it up.
Clive, we set ourselves up as a 3-4-3, although your guesswork was more possibly a 5-2-3. Can you elaborate on what you saw?
Well, the manager said at the start that it was going to be 3-4-3, and he named his midfield to us, and I get that, but I think during a game, particularly if you haven't got the ball, I think your wing backs are likely to get pushed back, and it did. If I'm honest, it looked more like a 5-2-3 at times there, really. Other people have said this. I spoke to a well-respected Torquay fan leaving the ground, and his comment to me was, we just don't break lines. We're not breaking the lines. Other people whose views I respect have said there's not enough pace up front as well. I've also had some fairly intense arguments about Cody Cook at the minute. Now, for me, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's trying to be a pivot up front. He's battling centre halves. He's winning flick-ons. He's doing what he did for 40-odd games last year, and he ended up with as top scorer and, 2 goals away from promotion, as we know. I don't think Cookie's doing anything wrong, but he's got no support. Nobody's running in behind him.
In behind is the issue, Clive, isn't it?
I think so. And you look at that team on Saturday, and unless Youngie, abandons his berth on the right wing and comes in to do that, It's difficult. I'm not a tactician, but it doesn't seem to me like just having Jordan Young trying to score wonder goals is going to get us very far, really.
So all we've got at the moment, though, isn't it? It's like you say, Dom. You know, we've got Matt J, who's just not performing. He's just not offering the team anything, and it's all well and good. Cody Cook leaping up for every ball that comes his way, and you know, attempting to get his head on it. But if you haven't got the players that are picking up these knockdowns and these headers, then he can be leaping around like six lords are leaping in the 12 days of Christmas till Christmas, because it's not constructive, is it? It's not producing anything. But that's actually more a criticism of the players that he is trying to, you know, bring into the game, nod down the balls and what have you, chest the balls down to them. So, I mean, how do we solve a problem like, because clearly Matt J, you know, he's a player of, he's got credentials, hasn't he? He's played at a higher level, and so if it's not working, then, you know, I can't. But then again, you had Dylan Morgan, didn't you, who was filling those areas, you know, for Cody Cook. So for all the balls that Cody Cook wins in the Cody Cook wins in the air, you know, you need the players to be playing off him. And
well, when you got a threat, right, when you've got a real threat off both wings, you can sort of forget about that a bit, can't you? You can just actually, you know, get exactly. Up the pitch, get some crosses in, but it's only coming from one side. If we're lucky at the minute.
Well, we could bring the fullback issue in then, couldn't we? Because, you know, there is a reliance on them to a degree, isn't there, to be producing, getting balls into the box, getting low or lofted, and that's not being produced, is it?
You know, Denzel doesn't look like a natural overlapper to me. When we played at Playmore, he was combative and he got involved, but he didn't make much runs around the defence. And
he tries. He was of the two of him and Falston. He was far more advanced, really, which is probably where you get to your 3-4-3, I guess. But Batzikis, their left back, got the better of him, I thought, to be honest. It was a good duel, but he didn't win it. I think he'll certainly try and get forward. I think he offers perhaps a little more in that respect than Dylan, but
I think Jay Falston is that typical kind of left centre back of a three, is probably his best role, because he's not a really bombing wing back, that's for sure. He's not a great crosser of the ball, and he's strong in the air. He's good defensively, but he's not going to offer you luck going forward. And, so then you've got a problem on the left-hand side. If Jay's not offering much, Falster's not getting down there, you're kind of like, well, we're not going to do anything down that way at all. Again, it comes back on the right-hand side to Jordan Young, doesn't it? Give it to Youngie. But
of course, the one player that had a bit of pace has had to go back to Luton, Phillips, so he won't be coming back. Yeah, it's a conundrum, isn't it, really? Of course.
And if you have Morgan in there, you automatically get that pace, don't you? And I think Dolan will make a big difference if he comes in and can get fit, because he can really get into spaces behind the striker and pull some strings and he can bang a shot in from 25 yards. I think he could be a big player, but can we get him fit? Is the issue.
Sorry, Tom, I was going to say, how long have we got Keane Anderson for?
He's on a month loan, isn't he?
Is it a month loan?
28 days.
So
he must be 2 weeks into that, mustn't he?
What do we think of him? What
he
do we
was
make
dreadful
of him
on Saturday, unfortunately. I think he's a fair player. I don't mind him, but he had a stinker, and so did Matt Worthington.
Yeah. And that was our midfield, wasn't it? You know, that was the
exactly.
Yeah. That was the midfield. I mean, I've been doing a bit of research before recording, getting up our first 5 away games of the season from all the talk match verdicts and getting an overall rating. And away from home, it doesn't make for pleasant viewing, to be honest. I mean, Hammond currently, well, I say leads the way. Sundial leads the way, but he's only played 2 games for us. But Hammond has played 5 games. He's got an average of 6.4. Some might argue the Horsham result might have him a bit lower than that. But then you've got Jordan Young averaging 6.3 out of 10, Palmer 6.2 out of 10, Dyer 5.9, Hayfield 5.7, and then you've got the reliable players from last season, Cook, Dreyer, and Folston. Cook and Dreyer 5.4 out of 10 away from home so far from the match verdicts, and Jay Folston 5.2. I mean, that's not going to be enough. Fives every week. It's nowhere near good enough, especially for a club with our ambitions of promotion this season. I know it's only, we're still well early into the season, but to be out of the cup again at this early stage, a good cup run gets you money for potentially new players to come in. And right now, every penny matters at the moment because with the injury crisis, there's not really much more to go into the budget. So in that respect, that's the disappointing thing for me in that perspective. But away from home, I just don't understand why we're set up to put in 5s out of 10s every week, and it's not going to be good enough. And with all due respect to the clubs we have faced at the moment, Horsham, Hemel, Hampton, they're not big hitters that you would expect to go and play at, and expect to be up there this season. So there's going to have to be a moment where, look, we got Ebbsfleet at home, then we've got a weekend off, and that weekend off might be a blessing in disguise, to be honest, with the injury concerns, and help those if you get niggles. But it's a Saturday off that we're not going to go and watch Torquay United play, and that's what really angers me the most is, I've got the Saturday off and now I've got nothing to watch. So and in my industry, it's hard to get Saturdays off at the moment. So that's the annoying thing. But, if we're only averaging the 5 and 6 out of 10s every week from the first 5 games, according to Talkie Talk verdict writers, Clive being one of them, of course, it's not good enough, lads. And you're going to have to, yes, of course, the injuries are playing a part. Of course they are, but you've got to be stood up and be counted for. The team that we put out on Saturday should still have been good enough to, at least in my view, get a replay out of that. Yes, it's a tough game. It's a difficult place to go to, but I mean, the pitch looked fantastic. It's a passing pitch. The Southampton women's team plays there. So, and that's the one thing we've been saying, at least on good pitches, we play well. And for whatever reason on Saturday, we didn't sound like we were firing on all cylinders. And that's the frustrating thing for me. Was there any standouts?
I'm sorry to labour this point. There's already, in the past, right, people have been criticised for being happy clappers. And I have been the first to have a go at happy clappers. At the minute, I am probably going to be characterised as yeah, but what about the injuries guy? But what about the injuries? It's like, honestly, that team was the strongest available on Saturday, and I don't think it was good enough. I don't say that as a criticism. I just don't think we've got enough at the minute to expect to go to well-organised, physical teams like Tottenham and expect to get a result. There was always a decent chance we were going to lose that. Big moments in a game as well, isn't it? It's the it's 2 crosses, 2 headers. You get something in the way of either of those crosses, it's a different story. It can be quite fine margins, and so I think I'm prepared to just relax for a minute and just try and trust it for a bit longer before pressing panic buttons.
I think the manager deserves a bit of leeway for that reason, and the fact that we had a very good season last season. So, you don't deserve some stick for the way things have gone away from home. But yeah, if this is still an issue when we've got all the players back and we're into November time and we're still struggling badly away from home, then I think you would start, probably panicking and that. But I think there's a bit of time to turn this around, get players back and feel a bit better. So again, much like that, I'm not hugely concerned, but it's just got to turn things around a little bit, haven't we?
I'm not putting the head in the stand, right? I'm not pretending it's not happening. The away form has been poor, but we're 8th in the league and we're top goal scorers.
We're fourth in the league, aren't we?
There's 2 sides, and we moved up to 4th. Thanks, Tom. Sorry, we're top goal scorers, though, aren't we?
We are.
Admittedly, they've been scored at Plainmoor, but there are 2 sides to it, and it ain't all doom and gloom.
I suppose that makes the away form more annoying because we are top scorers at Plainmoor, and you think, well, why can't we do any of that away from home? It's just such a Jekyll and Hyde team at the moment.
But there is a big difference between playing at home and away.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't expect us to score 3 or 4 away from home. It's just the fact we can't score any.
Right. Any more thoughts on
the
FA Cup?
Not so much the cup as a subject, but could we not be a bit more canny in the loans market? You know, we had that young lad from Luton who I didn't see a huge amount from him, if I'm honest. Very pacey, could drop a shoulder and take a player on, but could we not look a little bit? I mean, have we got good connections anywhere that we could probably get?
I'm sure Watton's got. I'm sure Watton's got his phone book out.
Get some quality in,
Who's coming back soon though? Is Dolan and Morgan due back soon? They were hopeful for Dolan by next week, weren't they?
Well, that was in the
press. So if you get 2 players back fairly soon, then I don't know. I think you can go for a low route, can't you? But I mean, bless him, Phillips, I'm sure did his best, but you just get one of these.
Of course he did. Of course he did. The lad, he's a young lad who wanted to.
We keep seeing these youngsters come down, struggle to, match up against adult opposition, and they just get back to
gets clattered, and
I don't see a point in doing that too much, and maybe he's just hoping those injured guys can come back and we can.
Clive is probably a bit more in the know than me, but from what I can recall, Dennis, I think it might be all right for Ebbsfleet on the weekend. Dolan's running, so he's hopefully not too far away. Sonny Blue Everton's apparently making good progress as well. So hopefully, maybe not all by Saturday, but certainly
Dylan Morgan as well, I think.
And Morgan,
so maybe he supposed to be.
So maybe by Salisbury away, which I think is the 4th of October. Maybe we'll be in a bit of a stronger position then than we are now with the injuries front, and let's hope so, because we've been so cursed with injuries. I've not known anything like it since the Johnson era with all these injuries, to be fair. But again, we were lucky last year with injuries, and this year we've started off having a terrible time at it. So,
and it's all the new players as well, isn't it? It's
not
here already. It's all the new ones.
And I guess it's that old cliche. At least now we can focus on the league. And yes, 4th in the division still. It's perspective, glass half full or half empty, however you want to think about it. At the end of the day, the league is the bread and butter, and if we win the next 2, then we've equaled our start really from last season, which would be pretty all right, I think. So, yeah, disappointing. Like I said, I'm very reactive in the moment, and then gives me a couple of days to calm down. That's just me being a Torquay fan in general. But the FA Cup, it's not to be. So another year. It's all about the trophy and the bowl, though. Let's be honest. They're the ones I want this season. So.
It's being in this division, Tom. That's the issue.
It's horrible,
because when you don't win, it just feels crap, doesn't it? When you're in the National League and you draw at home against I don't know, anybody, you can write that off, can't you? When when you don't beat one of these teams, no disrespect to any of them, it's nothing to be happy about, is there? So.
No. But there we are. Hopefully that will be our last ever second qualifying round FA Cup game we have to play. Hopefully next season we can bypass a few rounds and get one step closer to the actual proper round. So that is Tottenham away, and I think that will be good if we go into Kelly's Corner, unless any of you had any last things to say. Wonderful. Right. Into Kelly's Corner this week. Thank you everyone who wrote in on short notice. We asked for your Ebbsfleet at home score predictions, and with the Gull'S now facing a weekend off, what your plans are for the 27th. So a mixture here. So Trav writes in and says 3-1 to Ebbsfleet. Paul Marhern says absolutely no reason to not think we can win. Hopefully a couple of players back to boost the squad. The away games have been tough, so let's keep the heads up for now. He's going for a 2-1 Gull'S victory. Joe from Off the Line blog says Ebbsfleet are the favourites, but don't write off the Yellows. Best record versus the top sides in the 2024-25 season in the NLS. If we have players back, I can see us getting a result. He'll be watching some National League football on the 27th at a club close to his geographical home. Alex Brillicum says 2-1 Torquay, keep up the home form. On the 27th, he'll be watching Manchester City versus Burnley on the 27th. Doesn't think he's going to see an away win there either. I'll see you on Saturday, Alex. Thanks for writing in. Paul Dennis says, I hate trying to do forecasts, but I could easily have predicted last Saturday's cup debacle. Let's see if any of our wounded can make it to the front line this weekend. There is so much criticism of Paul Watton on social media, but I reserve judgment until they are all back, except, of course, for Nash. And of course, I think it's right that we should wish Nash all the very best in his recovery and hopefully see him back on the pitch very, very soon. Mel Bayher says Ebbsfleet are going to burst our Fortress Playmore bubble on Saturday. And Josh Cole says always back us at home, plus the bench should be stronger with some players hopefully returning. Not getting a clean sheet though, I'll say a safe 2-1 win for the Goals. On the 27th, I'm not looking at anything FA Cup related. And that is all the ones on Facebook. And then there is one on Facebook, but not so much relates to the question, but it's a valid point of view that some in the fan base share. So I think it's only right that we do read this out. Lee Cross has said may have something to do with the manager starting with 5 defenders and a defensive midfielder based on the game against Tottenham. Paul Watton's blaming it on injuries, but he's had Hayfield on the bench, who's a midfielder. In Lee's mind, Watton bottled it again.
He bottled it.
That is the quote. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, Hayfield's not good. Hayfield's not good. He's not a match winner, is he? He's not going to change a game. He's a solid midfielder. So, I think that's a bit unfair on Watton, isn't it? He had Anderson in, didn't he? Who's a box to box midfielder, or so we're led to believe. So, it's Hobson's choice really at the moment for Watton, isn't it, for the midfield?
I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, aren't they? But to be honest, on Saturday, you've got Lee, Rendell and Linton starting, haven't you? In the home game, Watton changed it and we ended up with 5 at the back. And in the end, people were saying, well, that was a terrific tactical change. So he starts exactly the same way on Saturday. You're away from home. You're trying to be solid. We know it didn't work, but I think playing 5 at the back was a good shout.
He's got a bit of he's just got that reputation amongst supporters being defensive coach, isn't he? He's struggling to get away from that. We scored 4 in our last home game, didn't we? But people have just got him, marked out as that kind of coach. But yeah,
Jordan Dyer on the left wing or something.
I don't know.
Haven't got the bodies.
Yeah. It's that second season, isn't it? I think the pressure's amped up this season. Everybody's getting very theory about the whole thing, and he's copping a lot of flack.
Yeah, but hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and people travel and spend a lot of money to watch Torquay United both home and away. So, like I said before, recording, everyone's got their own opinions. If you all had the same opinions, it'd be a very boring podcast, wouldn't it?
It feels worse when you're there as well. I think if you're only going to away games this season, you're pretty miserable, aren't you? Whereas I think most of us have just been to home games mostly, and you feel a bit better about the team. So
that's me. I've only been to the Enfield at home game, and then I've seen the Horsham debacle and Hampton. To be fair, we did all right at Hampton, but we've been a bit.
And we had a pint, didn't we, Tom?
We had a lovely time at Hampton, didn't we?
Not a bad night, was it?
No, pretty decent night in the Hamptons. Yeah, so it's all about the league, and the FA Cup's done. So on to Ebbsfleet on Saturday and into our predictions. Ebbsfleet tipped to be up there for the title this season. Have had a bit of an indifferent start from what I can recall.
They're only 11th, aren't they? I looked earlier, so they're not exactly pulling up
the table up. I did have the table up in front of me, but I've got. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Ebbsfleet 11th in the table on 12 points, won 3, drawn 3, lost 2, scored 8, and conceded 7.
Not many goals.
Not in the best form at the moment, from what I can see. So who knows? But they should bring a decent backing with them, and I think it's going to be a very tough afternoon's work. I'd love us to win every single home game and go the season with 69 home points. That'd be all right. But I think I'm going to go. I think it's going to be high scoring. Actually, I'm going to go 2-2. I think it'd be a very entertaining 2-2 home draw.
Oh God, I'm still trying to make my mind up. I'll go 1-1 then. That's a bit boring, isn't it?
Rachel?
Oh, go for the old template 2-1, Torquay.
Beat
Be
Phil.
lovely to predict a clean sheet, but we know it's just it's the sort of like the holy grail, that is, isn't it?
It does feel like that at the moment.
The magical chalice.
And Clive?
Well, at least we know Chris McPhee's not going to score. 2-1, Torquay.
And of course, before we finish this week's episode, the Torquay ladies team had their first game at Plainmoor this season. A last-minute winner against Sherborne, make it 3-2. Clive, you were there. Do you want to give us a brief rundown of the ladies' victory?
It's going to have to be brief because I've got a brain like a sieve. Yeah, there was a couple of hundred people in attendance. Luckily, most of us were at the top of Bristow's and out of the rain. I really felt sorry for both teams, actually. The conditions were awful. Second half, particularly. Really strong winds coming over the family stand, horizontal rain. So we took the lead in the first half with Lily Hilton getting on the end of one. Sherborne equalised 1-1 at half time. There was then a hotly disputed penalty, as half man, half biscuit would say, in the second half. Sherborne converted that to go 2-1 up. By this time, literally, talk about get it in the mixer conditions. Our old friend Sam Swan. Sam Swan was in the Babacom end filming it. And at the end, I've never seen, I mean, drowned rat wouldn't cover it. The lad was absolutely soaking wet through. But the girls themselves kept going. We had lots of corners, nothing quite dropped for them, but eventually there was a really decent cross on the left-hand side, and Lily gets on the end of another one, header at the far post. Georgie not.
Only because the name stuck in my head, because I think she should be a country singer, shouldn't she? Georgie Nutt.
Absolutely. She didn't stand by her man. She eluded her marker and she knocked home a winner. Really, really good afternoon. Nice for the girls to get 3 points. I saw Danny Wyatt last night. She was absolutely delighted because there'd been a few shenanigans last season with Sherborne. If you remember, they unfortunately beat us on the last day to scupper the promotion hopes. So that was a bit of payback on Sunday.
Sounds like a good game.
Yeah.
So the weather report, definitely more Michael fish than sunny fish.
Yeah, but it was raining goals, so everybody was delighted.
Swanee being given the jobs that nobody else wanted, the pouring rain.
Yeah.
No, he loved it.
Swanee!
He loved it. Hello, Swanee. Come back soon, mate.
on an injury note, because we don't talk enough about injuries, do we? Because we just don't have problems with it. How's Danny doing? Because she picked up a pretty nasty injury, didn't she? Is she anywhere closer to returning?
I've not spoken to her for a while. I think it's likely to be quite a long job, but she's there obviously every game, inspiring the players, because she's Torquay United through and through, as we know.
And a great win for the under-18s as well, through to the next round of the FA Youth Cup. So for Clive's sake, I'm sure he'll be looking for an away trip somewhere.
Can't get enough.
Right, that'll do it for this week's Goals Eye View. Thank you everyone for your continued support, watching, listening on Spotify or YouTube. Do give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, trying to get to 1,000, get us to 1,000 so we can start getting paid.
What are we up to? What are we up to at the moment?
762, I think.
Ooh. Okay.
We'll get there. We'll get there. That's one of my predictions for the season as well. So I've already lost one this season. So come on, Yellow Army. You know what you need to do. But no, thank you very much for your support, everyone. We'll see you next week. And if you're there on Saturday, come say hello at the fan zone. Up the goals.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.